So I've just received the Princeton watercolor travel brush set, and I'm very excited about that. And it is Aqua Elite, their synthetic Kolinsky brush, and it's apparently better than natural Kolinsky. I am going to try out this travel brush set, so if you want my opinion, then stick around. So how does it compare to something you can buy off Temu or Amazon or any of the other Chinese websites? They don't really compare, to be honest. When I pick those up, the bristles, they feel super cheap. They also don't come to a nice point. There's always a lot of hairs sticking out. Let's just look at the two large brushes that are included, and you can probably see here that bristles aren't even. They don't come to a nice point. Some of them are already breaking away, and I've only used this once or twice. So they're okay if you're on a budget. You will be able to put paint on paper with them, but even just from the few marks I made on paper, I can tell that these brushes are far superior. So if you want to enjoy travel painting, invest in better quality brushes. Never a wrong decision. Right, I'm going to take this outside and do a little sketch. The first thing I want to note is the case itself. It is magnetic, which means you don't have to fiddle with it to open it. It's very sturdy. It's like reinforced, so it really protects the brushes. And the brushes are held by a little elastic bands, so they're very easy to get in and out of the case. When they're assembled, they feel really solid, and the brushes themselves are extremely light. And of course, that's because the base of them is hollow. Now, I start this little sketch with the largest brush, and I have, as you can see, a small travel journal from Bawang. It is 300 GSM cold press 100% cotton paper, so it is proper watercolor paper. I always start with the biggest brush I have on hand, whether that is when I do travel sketches or in the studio or anywhere else, because that's one of my teachers once famously said to me, you can always add detail with big brushes, but you can never paint big with small brushes. So most of the sketch is actually just done with the one brush, and I have to remind myself to try some of the others as well as I go along. This is a little beach scene, as you could see from the beginning. I'm sitting in the sand dunes, a late afternoon. The light is pretty flat, to be honest. It was quite overcast, so there's not a lot of depth in terms of light and shadow. But this was really more about applying the brush to the paper and see how it feels. It holds a lot of water, this big brush, I must say. I mean, just enough for a small area like this sketchbook. On a bigger piece of paper, I would obviously prefer a bigger brush, but considering this is a travel sketch set, is really when you want to travel with minimal kit, because if I carry a bigger piece of paper, then I obviously have enough room to carry a big set of brushes with me as well. So this really fits just into my little sketch bag that has a pencil, a few paintbrushes, this mini palette that I'm holding there, and a small sketchbook. That's the whole point. Could probably even fit into my back pocket if I really tried hard, but that's a bit uncomfortable. Anyway, I'm moving on with the sketch. I'm building up my layers. There's not a lot of time to dry in between the different layers, so I'm just moving around the page to wherever the next dry enough area is for me to continue. I'm trying to get a little bit more detail in now for the foreground, so I've switched to a smaller size brush, and they're very firm, they're very springy, they got an incredibly precise point. You can see I can almost make marks the size of a pixel. Perfect for a little marks of people that are sort of scurrying along the horizon line there. Here and there, just a few people to get a bit of life, and then I'm adding some more distant trees there. I've only ended up using 2 brushes for this painting. I didn't need the even smaller brushes for this painting, and chances are I probably never will, but those 2 brushes are absolutely awesome. I really enjoyed painting with them. They handle well, they're super precise, and they carry enough water for me to do a little red and wet sketch. I like this one. Now, since I've painted that, I've done a couple of more sketches with the same setup, same brushes, same watercolor palette. And yes, I'm still using them, so that's a good sign. And I really enjoy working with them. They are fantastic quality brushes. Great detail with the finer brushes, and the big one holds enough water for me to do washes and expressive brush strokes. There are two things though that would make this the perfect kit. Number one is I would love them to be screw-in, because as you can see, at least one of them here comes apart quite easily. So I'm gonna have to sort of sticky tape around here to make that tighter. So I do prefer it when they have a little thread so I can throw them in or click them in somehow. And the other one is that I now got 4 round brushes, and the difference in size between those two isn't that significant. I would have preferred a flat brush. Now I got to pull in one from another kit. That sort of defeats the purpose. But other than that, this is a fantastic travel set. Highly recommend it. Definitely way better than any of the cheaper ones I've tried. And if you enjoy this content, I also have a weekly newsletter called the Watercolor Workout. Goes out every Friday, and I'll send you something to practice, something to work on, an idea for an exercise, or a technique that you can practice during the week. Thanks for watching. See you next time.